Hello, lovely, and welcome to Yoga with Carolynne. I have a very special treat for you today. Today's class is a free, full-length yin yoga practice, and I've chosen this class from the summer live stream yoga classes. It was one of my favorite ones to teach, and it really seemed to resonate with the students. And this is just to offer you a little bit of an experience of what it might look or feel like to practice live stream classes, because registration has opened for the Ease weekly live stream yoga classes. All the details for that are found in the description box below, but for now, enjoy this practice. Welcome to Yoga with Carolynne, teaching empaths and sensitive souls just like you how to create a collaborative relationship with your body through cozy, accessible yoga and self-care practices in order to live a life filled with less doing and more being. Before we get started, I wanted to kind of briefly talk about the inspiration for today's practice. So you're welcome to, as I'm chatting, make your way onto your back, because that's where we're starting. That's where we're staying for a while. So make your way onto your back. And I'm gonna talk while you're making your way there. So click play on that playlist. Get cozy. So today's practice is very much inspired. Like I said, in my email today is like gratitude and love vibes. I literally wrote at the top of my paper for today's practice, love vibes. Today's practice is really inspired by, I know that we have actually, like before these classes, have had some conversations about maybe the anxieties, and we were just talking about it, the anxieties, maybe apprehensions or feelings, just feelings in regards to the world, quote unquote, opening back up. And I think that during the past few weeks, we've absolutely explored some practices that really help kind of soothe that, give space to feel those feelings. And so today's practice is kind of the flip side of that. It's kind of an invitation to feel the love of maybe some things that you haven't been able to do in a while are kind of coming up, or maybe they're happening right now. So I know all of you very well. I know that you've maybe been spending some time with family that you haven't been able to see in a really long time, or maybe you've got some family members that are coming into the world within the next few weeks, or you're just able to just do some things that just like are full of love, that we haven't been able to do in a really long time. So yes, absolutely, the anxieties, the apprehension, the fear, those are still valid and they still have space. Today's practice is an opportunity for you to just feel the love, feel the gratitude, feel the love vibes. So we've practiced the idea of gratitude before in these classes. So you've heard me say before, it's not necessarily a matter of really kind of starting the practice and pulling up a list of all the things that you are grateful for. But we know the positive effects of practicing gratitude. And it can be as simple as just calling in that feeling of being grateful, or just that feeling of love, that feeling of that feeling. So that is what we are exploring in today's practice. I'm really showing up here just like full of love. I've lit my rose quartz candle. I'm wearing like my yoga clothes. So we're practicing together here. So as you settle into this shape, this comfortable shape, maybe it's a shape that you it's your go-to, that you typically start your practice in if you're starting on your back, or maybe today it's a different shape, one that feels a little bit more open or more grounding or more supported. Really cozy up. Allow it to feel good. It's a big part of love, right? And it starts with loving ourselves. So letting it feel good, and that be a good and a right thing. The eyelids get heavy. The jaw softens. You are here on your mat in your practice. As you welcome yourself into your practice, you start with kind of physically settling yourself in. Can you feel your heartbeat? Got to get really still and really pay attention to notice the heartbeat. Your heart chakra, spot where love comes in and love goes out. Both very important, both directions. Receiving and sending out. So as you begin to call in your breath, allow those inhales and those exhales to be an opportunity to begin to call in that sensation, that feeling of love. And breathing in a way that feels really supportive, really nourishing for you is a way for you to be able to send yourself some love. So allow the next few moments of stillness, of doing nothing, be your opportunity to really explore that sensation of love through your breath. We're going to take the next 3 deep breaths together. And they're going to be long. They're going to be slow. So allowing the next breath to just be like kind of regular. Inhale. Let it go out the mouth with a sigh. The next 3 breaths will be through the nose, really slow. Inhale. Take a bit more breath in. And then the exhale is just as slow out the nose. Really watching all of that breath go out of the body. And again, inhale. All the way into the belly. Bit more breath in. And exhale slowly. Letting all that breath out. And then last one, inhale. And exhale, let it go. Allowing yourself to stay really like within that slowness that you've begun to invite into your practice. And you'll move with love. You'll bring some really tiny movements into the body, like really small, even smaller than you would when you wake up after Shavasana. And I'm going to give you a few moments here. So take your time. Allow yourself to move in any way that feels really good. Like as if you weren't even in a yoga class, you weren't on your yoga mat, you were just by yourself, maybe laying on your bed, laying on the grass. Slowly, slowly waking the body up. Gradually, as the time goes on, the movements can become bigger if that feels really good. Feel your body. Feel yourself being welcomed in by your practice, by love, by your breath. And then you will eventually be bringing yourself into fetal position on the right side of the body. This is not a transitionary pose. This is kind of one of the poses. So allowing yourself to roll onto the right side of the body, the right arm can come underneath of your head. And I would strongly encourage that if you do have a bolster or if you have a blanket, that you place that in between your knees. So lying here on your side, nice and cozy for a moment. The eyes are closed. You're in this little like cocoon of coziness. So you're using this pose as like your starter pose to be coming into a twist, but I'm gonna guide you through it here. So if you do have an extra cushion or something to place underneath of your head, then you can, it can just come onto the head, because what you're doing here is you're going to be moving the right arm so that it comes in front of your gaze, so the palm is open towards the sky. We won't be here for too long, so if it feels kind of funky in the neck, just bear with me. So keeping the legs exactly as they are, you're going to bring both palms to touch. So right arm is extended out towards the side, palm open, and then left arm connects with it, so both of your palms are touching. You're going to move really slow here. We're going to do this movement 3 times to then eventually settle into the twist. Nice and slow. You'll take a really slow, long inhale to graze the fingertips up the length of your arm. You can adjust the shoulder here as you continue to graze the fingertips up the arm, then across the heart, and then that arm opens up towards the side, like as if you were settling into your twist. But then on the exhale, you're going to roll back into the first position. Yeah, perfect. And I would love for you to do that 2 more times. On the second time, settle into your twist. Allow your fingertips to really graze across the body. Feel your body here. Kind of giving yourself a little bit of a massage just with the tips of your fingers. Then you're settling into that twist. So you're welcome to adjust the shoulders in any way that would feel really supportive here. You can kind of wiggle into the hips, into the low back. You're welcome to keep the gaze up, or you can allow the gaze to look towards the left. And this is your shape. If you're not using a bolster or a blanket in between the knees, then you're more than welcome to place the right hand on the top of that left thigh. But I typically would only suggest that if that knee is not quite high due to the fact that you have a prop there. And as seems to be like the new trend of this series for the yin classes, we're going to be here for a little longer than we might usually be. Is there anywhere in the body here in this pose that would benefit from a bit more love? Maybe that comes in the form of the breath being sent to that spot. Or maybe that comes in the form of the way in which you choose to speak to yourself to that spot. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they were asking me about the idea of overcoming negative self-talk and wanting to be more positive and loving in the way that they spoke to themselves, and ask me the question, like, do you find that you've gotten to the point where you no longer speak negatively to yourself? And I kind of thought for a second, and I was like, I don't think that ever goes away. But I think that the time between the unkind or the frustration towards oneself, the time between that and then the decision to speak more kindly, be more loving, the time between point A and point B can become a little bit shorter. I don't think the fear or the anxiety or any of that ever goes away, but then the idea is that you're not allowing those emotions to really dictate your decisions or the way that you are, or the way that you live. And that you always have the opportunity to choose love again, to forgive, and to choose love again. You've got 3 more deep breaths here. Choose love again. You know the drill. Once you have taken those 3 deep breaths, you'll release out of the shape. Bring yourself onto your back, but take your time. There's no rush. Once you do bring yourself back onto your back, you'll pause there. We're going to be coming into another shape before coming into the twist on the other side. So you can move that prop to one side. You can place it on the other side so that it's ready once you get there. But before we come into the twist on the other side, we're going to come into Bananasana Pose. So you'll bring the arms up overhead if they are not there already, and take a nice big stretch before you find the shape. Just stretch from fingertips all the way down to the toes. And then you'll bring your attention down into your feet. So we'll start with the feet. So walk your feet over towards the right side of your space. So we're stretching the same side of the body, the left side of the body. And then you'll pick up into the arms, the head, and the shoulders, and those walk over towards the right side of your space as well. This is a yin class. So typically I would encourage in the yin yoga kind of version of this shape to let it be really soft. So you are welcome to cross at the ankles and grab hold of one of your wrists if you'd like. However, if you want it to be a bit more open, a bit more soft, a bit more gentle, then just allow the feet to just settle. The toes kind of fall out to either side. Your arms are soft, slightly bent at the elbows. You kind of shift the head around in order to find a position that feels really cozy, really comfy for the neck. Doesn't matter where the gaze goes. Everything is still touching the mat. The entire left side of the body is still connected to the floor. If at any point you feel kind of tingling or feelings that just don't feel very nice in the hands, then release the arms back down. They don't have to stay up overhead. I get really, really excited about the empowering opportunity to be able to choose again. You see this play out in many different ways, but in one way, in your yoga practice, when you're on your mat, and it's one of those days where the mind is just like not cooperating. Maybe it's just overthinking, it's planning, it's thinking ahead, looking back, or it's not being very kind. And I know that for myself, it can be a really comforting thing to know that doesn't matter if literally 59 of the 60 minutes of a yoga practice, my mind was just racing. But that for 1 minute, I had the opportunity to choose again. And that doesn't mean you're starting from zero or starting from scratch or that you failed. It just means that life happens. So today you have the opportunity to choose again, choose yourself again, choose your practice again, choose love again, whatever it is that you feel like you're needing. Maybe it hasn't been around much. It's okay. You can choose again. You'll take one more inhale here. On the exhale, you can let it go with a sigh. And then nice and slow, once you've taken that last breath, walking everything back into center. You can give those arms a break. You can bring them alongside the body if that would feel good for the shoulders. If you'd like to release that entire side here, kind of reset before you come into that short sequence on the other side, you can bring the knees in towards the chest, or you can place the soles of the feet onto the floor, knees fall from side to side, or maybe you just want to be still for a few moments. When you feel like you are ready, you will make your way into that fetal position on the left side. So don't even worry about the twist. Don't worry about that yet. Just come into your comfortable fetal position so you can bring that left arm underneath of the head. It'll feel good for the neck. Just coming into stillness here on your side in this cozy shape. Bring your bolster in or your folded up blanket or cushion off the couch. Comes in between the knees just because it feels good to feel cozy and support the body. You've been on your back for quite some time. So before we come into the twist, take a few moments to really send your breath towards the back line of your body. And then we'll get ready to come into that gentle flow to come into the supine twist. So you're lying on your side. This time it's the left arm that kind of shoots out in front of your gaze with the palm open towards the sky. And the right arm meets up with that bottom arm. So palms come to touch. And then on your next inhale, you take an inhale to slowly graze the fingertips up the length of your left arm, then across the chest, and then opens out towards the right. And then on the exhale, you slowly kind of close that flower back up to bring the palms to touch again. 2 more times like that. Taking your time, allowing your fingertips to really connect with the entire length of the movement. Once you've explored the movement 2 times, you'll then settle into your twist. And don't feel like you have to really settle into the twist that you've just kind of like fallen into. So take a moment to adjust the body so that this feels good. So kind of wiggling the shoulders, wiggling the hips, the low back, adjusting in the legs. And then once you found a shape that feels good in the body, you can then choose where the gaze goes. So maybe the gaze remains up, eyes open or closed, but gaze up or gaze looking towards the right side this time. Then back into stillness. Are the inhales and the exhales that are moving in and out of your body still inhales that feel nourishing and exhales that feel like softening? You'll take 3 more of your deep breaths right here. Once you have taken those last 3 deep breaths, go ahead and release, coming back into the center. Once you come into the center, you'll pause or find a movement that feels really good. And then you'll get ready to come into that crescent moon shape on the other side. You'll straighten into the legs and bring the arms up overhead. And then start with the feet. So walk the feet over towards the left side of your space. And then walk the hands, the head, shoulders over towards the left side of your space as well. And again, like I mentioned on the other side, you are more than welcome to cross at the ankles, right over left, left over right. One is not actually like the better option. They're literally just different. They will feel different. And then you can also grab hold of the wrist if you would like. So it would be the left hand grabbing hold of the right wrist. Or you can just be super open, super soft. Softness in the arms, the elbows. Move the head around to nuzzle into that shape that just feels good for the neck. Like when you're like getting into bed and you like have to move the head around a few times to find like just the right spot on your pillow. And then we're here. Your practice can be such a really interesting outlet or space or container to be able to explore the power of intention. If you have been practicing with me for a while, or you've been doing your own yoga practice for whatever, on and off for the entire length of your life or whatever, you've probably practiced these poses before. And maybe the last time you practiced this pose, it was with an entirely different theme, an entirely different intention. We weren't even talking about the idea of love or gratitude. So it brings it back to that idea of, specifically when it comes to the yoga practice, that the poses are just kind of bonus. The poses are just an outlet or a means to get to something. Maybe that's a feeling that you're looking to cultivate, or a sensation that you're looking to cultivate. And today it just so happens to be the sensation of love and gratitude. And this idea can absolutely be applied to not only on your yoga mat. That the lens in which you choose to view the world can be very much dictated by the intention that you have behind it. I'm not saying I've got it all figured out, but those are just my musings for the day. So let that sink in for the next 3 deep breaths. Once you have taken those 3 deep breaths, you'll bring it all back into center. And pausing in the center. And then finding whatever that will feel really good here. Stillness or movement. You have been on your back for a very long time. So you will transition from this shape to come into seated, turned towards the long edge of your yoga mat. So we're going to come into the one and only upright pose, and then we're coming back down towards the floor. So take your time, move slow here. Again, you've been where you are for a very long time. You can even keep the eyelids really, really heavy as you make your way up. So we're coming into a wide-legged forward fold. So it will probably be helpful to have something underneath of your sit bones. So a folded up blanket or a cushion. And then you can bring your other props in front of you. So that might be a bolster, or it might be a cushion, or it might be your blocks, 1 block, 2 blocks. And I'll show you a few of the different ways that I like to set this up. But if you've got your go-to, your favorite, then go for it. So one option that can be really nice is 2 blocks side by side, and then placing your bolster or your cushion or your rolled up blanket on that, and then bringing your forearms down and then allowing your forehead to come down. You can allow the hands to catch the head if you'd like. So that's one option. Or you can create a little bit of a ramp with your bolster and your blocks. So allowing your blocks to create this kind of tower shape. You can kind of get creative with it, placing the bolster onto that block, and then your torso and one of your cheeks comes down onto that bolster. So take your time, set yourself up. Do any sort of adjustments Don't feel like you have to really settle into the shape that you've just fallen into. So if you come into it and your low back needs like a little bit of like, moving around, walking from side to side before you really settle into stillness, then go for it. That's okay. And then we're here for about 4 minutes. So this shape physically really being a beautiful opportunity to create some space in your legs, your hips. Invite some stretch into the low back, especially after being on your back for so long. Allowing the shoulders, the upper back, even the neck to soften after being really connected, maybe kind of weighted into the floor. And energetically, this pose and any forward fold being a true invitation to surrender. To let go. Maybe some days that comes a little bit more easily than others. That's okay. Your heart surrendering into the floor, into the ground, into support. No matter what the pose looks like, so no matter how far up or how far down you are, you know that that doesn't matter. So no matter where you are in the shape, can you find those spots in the body where you might benefit from some softening or maybe some spaciousness? And it doesn't even need to be like the specific muscles that you're lengthening in this pose. Maybe it's like your pinky toe or your eyes. And you're just here for 3 more deep breaths. Once you have taken those 3 deep breaths, go ahead and release out of the shape by pressing yourself up really slow. Once you do bring yourself upright, you can move those props over towards one side and then bring the hands underneath the knees to bring the knees in towards you. And then once you've moved everything out of the way, you can turn back towards the front end of your space. We'll come into that counter pose that we typically practice after a forward fold before coming back down towards the floor. So straightening into the legs, bringing the hands behind you, palms of the hands are on the floor with the fingertips away. Press into the hands to allow the heart to shine up towards the sky. Really pull the shoulder blades towards each other. Breathe into your heart here. And then releasing that shape and bringing yourself back onto your back. Yay for one pose being upright and then the rest of them just being on the ground. That's the true way to practice yoga, right? So once you make your way onto your back, it's pretty much already time for Shavasana. But before, actually, you know what? Go ahead and make your way into the shape and then I'll guide you through a little bit of loving coziness. So find your shape for Shavasana, for final relaxation. So bring your bolster maybe underneath of your knees, cover yourself with a blanket, cushion on the back of the head. And you know that it can be any shape, literally any shape. Especially if you're feeling like there's some area of the body that still needs a little bit more, then you're welcome to find any shape that would help really support that. And then once you've found that shape, you've really kind of wiggled into stillness, wiggled back into coziness. Let's just bring it back to that intention. Bring it back to love, back to gratitude, back to connection. So before you settle into just like complete surrender into your Shavasana, I'll ask that you place one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. The hand on your belly connecting you to like your gut, your intuition, your instinct. Hand on your heart connecting you to love. As you take the next few deep breaths, don't worry about counting the breaths or anything. Just let yourself get lost in the flow, the inhales and the exhales. Watch as your hands move up and down as you breathe in and you breathe out. You breathe in love and you breathe out love. As you inhale, you're receiving the love from me and the other participants in the class. As you breathe out love, you're sending it out to anyone and everything. The more you connect to love, the more that love can move through you. The next time you find an exhale, you'll slide the hands down away from the body to allow the arms to just come where it would feel really good for your Shavasana. And then stillness. No more doing, only being. Slowly Slowly bringing the awareness back into the body. Just by first becoming aware once again of the rise and fall of the body as you inhale and as you exhale. And bringing some movements into the fingers and the toes. Rotate the wrists and the ankles, and the head rocks from side to side. If you're on your back, taking an inhale to stretch the arms up overhead, stretching from fingertips all the way down into the toes. And then bringing the knees in towards the chest or just rolling onto the right side. If the knees are coming in towards the chest, you're hugging them in, rocking from side to side, to then eventually make your way onto the right side of the body. Coming into stillness. Staying within that space and that energy that you've created during your practice and staying with it. Letting it kind of stretch out a bit longer. Feeling it. The feeling it is part of what will help it stretch a little longer. And allowing the eyelids to be really heavy as you move with love. Pressing yourself up into your comfortable seat. Bringing the hands into heart center once you get there. Palms are connected to each other, and then the hands are pressing right above where the heartbeat is. We started the practice with feeling that heartbeat, so feel it for just a few more moments. And then before you roll up your mat and you go on with the rest of your evening, the rest of your week, this is the part of the practice where you get to choose. Where you get to choose what it is that you'd like to carry forth with you within the rest of your evening and the next few days. Something that felt really supportive, that felt right, that felt nurturing. The power of intention. And then you get to choose again. You get to choose love again. And we'll end the practice with one big breath together. Inhale. Out the mouth, let it go. I honor you for committing to your practice and to your body. Thank you so much, as always, for sharing that practice with me. And may the lessons that you learn on the mat enrich your life off of the mat. From my heart to yours, namaste.